Ooh, welcome back to the BDGE Bets YouTube channel. The NFC East is coming at your face today. We've already actually filmed this one time, but we said, you know what? The production wasn't good enough. The stadium that we were in was not good enough. The analysis was not good enough, so we did it elsewhere. Home field advantage, going to our boy Justin here. We are at the JomBoy Media studio. What better media company to talk about the New York Giants as well as the NFC East than JomBoy Media? So today we'll be covering all four teams: Philly, Washington, New York, and
Cowboys
team. The Cowboys. I'm
Hell
so
yeah.
off of them that I forgot who the fourth team
can't even
in the NFC
remember
East
the fourth team.
was. We'll be going through our favorite bets. We'll be going through the biggest changes from each team roster-wise. Just, kind of free-flowing conversation. Talking about our expectations for the upcoming season. We do have the defending Super Bowl champions.
They're going to be the first one we're talking about here. They made some offseason moves. Obviously, losing C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Bryce Huff, Josh Sweat, and Mekhi Becton all in one offseason. But this team just reloads. Like, that's what it feels like every single season. They just reload. We don't even have their first-round rookie in Jahad Campbell up on the board for acquired either, but he would be another notable name to slide right into that spot there at linebacker. But they just had Jahad Campbell as well, so I think he would be another name you could even put up there, and he should be an impact guy. I think he's going to be an impact guy, and should be impact guy. Free hands now, which is kind of late.
Milton Williams, also big piece loss.
Big piece.
I cannot allow you to talk about Philly without Milton Fillmore.
Without Fillmore, without Philsteins. They are at 11.5 total for their win total with
fade.
Okay, all right. We'll get into that.
My thoughts.
650 is their Super Bowl odds. Again, the favorite, you would have to assume, for the NFL season. A.J. Brown, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, headliners.
There's one major loss that I know you want to talk about, and it's the loss of Kellen Moore.
I just think it's a good idea to fade teams after a Super Bowl. And the fact that they lost their OC, I think this is a team that is just expected to be the GOAT of the GOATs. And on paper, the rosters there is just historically, unless you're already a proven full-on dynasty, unless you're Mahomes and the Chiefs or Brady and the Patriots, it's fading the Super Bowl team or just a team to make the Super Bowl usually pans out the following season.
So you're fading the 11.5? Or are you fading the Super Bowl
I feel like you should fade the Super Bowl odds.
But there's not like a proper way to take a...
There is no other side of that. Vegas doesn't allow that.
Yeah.
Unless. No.
So 11.5 is my best bet. Yeah. I also do feel comfortable fading Saquon, though.
But I think the major thing about their roster, when you look at last year compared to this year, what they did this offseason, if you look on like our lads, it indicates, hey, this guy's injured. Hey, this guy was a draft pick. Hey, this guy was a free agent. I mean, there's just nothing that's changed. Their roster is just all one color, and it's because they're just running it back with what they got, and I think
they actually got two colors at the safety position. That's you don't want to talk about them back there.
I mean, it feels like a good strategy. They draft well, they keep their guys, they dominate. I mean, when I look at the division, the Eagles feel like the only serious contender here. Like we were talking about a little bit pre-show. Washington should probably be like a good team, whatever. The Giants, Dallas, I think has a chance to implode. Like Philly, I can imagine will run through this division again. And then once you get into the NFC, that's the thing with Philly. That's why their Super Bowl odds are probably so high. Is like there's not real competition in the NFC. Of course, they could lose in a one-game sample size and be a little bit unlucky. But you look at the AFC, obviously you got to go through KC or Buffalo or Baltimore, whoever. You have a lot of like quarterbacks on the come up here, whereas Philly doesn't really have to go through that. It's not like they're challenged in the regular season at any point. So I don't know. They had a great strategy that worked last year. Run it back. Super Bowl. Another one.
You just don't feel
I am admittingly like vibes guy on this one.
Yeah.
But I just don't feel it. Also, Saquon's line at 1,500. I like the under on that.
But I've seen a lot of people fading it, which makes me feel worse about it.
I mean, they should.
Well, everybody's on the like Saquon was too good last year. Yeah. He can't possibly be really good.
Again, I'm in a big capper space with Twitter, and I see
Cap God.
It literally everybody's at like the under of Saquon. That's like the number one I see constantly. Like he can't do it again.
So
like I feel like he's so good he can.
I was looking at all the running backs to ever rush for 2K yards. I think there's 9 with Saquon. The 8 before him, none of them were able to go for 1,500 the following season. And I'm not saying Saquon can't have a good year, 12, 13, 14, but when that's where the line's at and I got to make money off of it, the under historically is always hit with the 2K rushers.
But if there ever been, I know you probably didn't dive into this stat exactly, but I feel like Saquon had so many yards before contact comparatively to most backs out of that like list. Think of the Derrick Henrys of the world. Do you think of like those who all hit 2K? CJ 2K was running behind a mid offensive line and just making shit happen. Saquon wasn't even touched most of the time before the first 3 or 4 yards.
You think that
Valid.
matters on the tackle?
I feel like it definitely matters because you're getting tackled by safeties and corners and linebackers more times than you're getting piled on by defensive tackles.
Yeah, I mean, I think like most people have kind of dived into the stats now at this point. It's like, you know, you've had 400 carries or you've had 2,000 rushing yards. Like the next year is not done well. The biggest problem I have with like that type of hindsight analysis is there have been like LT was a 400 touch guy for 10 straight years.
Yeah.
And like, sure, he didn't go from like 2,000 to 2,100, but like he went from 2,000 to like 1,790 total yards. And like the good years ebb and flow. I get what it's saying with the high touch count, but Saquon does feel like the one guy of our generation that if he's going to be able to do it because he's such a specimen, it's probably going to be him. Now, he has dealt with injuries like beforehand, so it's like an injury can happen any given year.
Just like these random high ankle sprains that he could sometimes get that'll either keep him out for like 2 to 3 weeks, and then he's not right for like another 4 after, even when he comes back. So.
And it is true, like he doesn't work as hard being behind this Philly offensive line. Like he's not grinding for every single yard.
4 yards before contact per attempt last year,
right.
which is
I think it was number one.
If you're a running back that averages 4 yards per carry, it's like, okay, you're like an NFL running back.
Yeah. And they've only gotten stronger with that. And again, Kellen Moore's out though, so we could see a different scheme.
True.
It sounds stupid, but like that is something that does matter when you're talking about.
I was kind of thinking about this, and not that it hasn't been brought up before, but like Jalen Hurts had 15 rushing touchdowns last year, or something like that. Like imagine Saquon. Last year, they just had a non-Jalen Hurts QB, and Saquon took all those rushing touchdowns. Would last year have been the best running back season of all time? Like if he took those touchdowns, right, and he scored 28 or whatever rushing touchdowns, maybe it didn't hit where LT's numbers were, but like I think we'd be looking at Saquon a little bit differently, and it's not to his fault at all. Like it's all Jalen Hurts is taking a lot of those rushing touchdowns, but I almost feel like his season, as good as it was, is almost being underplayed by the fact that he wasn't like used on the goal line that much.
Yeah, no, I would agree. The touchdowns definitely hold him back in that sort of sense. That's why I don't really want to touch his touchdown line. If anything, I'm really into Jalen Hurts' lines. Like I think 3,200 feels like a really good spot, and I think they're going to have to pass more. I mean, teams are going to try to stack the box, and they're just going to want to lose. If I'm even a defensive coordinator, I'm looking at I would rather Jalen Hurts beat me than Saquon Barkley beat me.
And I mean, that was the Super Bowl game plan.
Yeah.
And which I think you're just going to have teams that go into it this year. They would talk about this, as a Giants fan, you would hear it every week, but at least for the Eagles, like they have more things that could beat you outside of Saquon Barkley, where you have Jalen Hurts, you have A.J. Brown, you have Devontae Smith. Whereas the Giants, like, they didn't have that. So I feel like what this year is going to be, more than just the regular old argument of regression and, oh, he can't do it again, or, oh, he's going to get hurt. I just think there's going to be teams that are going to set out to be like, you're not going to beat us.
Yeah.
Like I think that's one of the main arguments for regression for Barkley. Where however you define regression, like even 1,500, that's regression from what he did the previous
year.
year.
Do you think they go more pass heavy just because teams are defensively stacking up? I mean, it didn't work for fucking KC, so like I wonder if teams think that's the most
coaches are
option.
stubborn. Well, they'll do that shit. They'll be like, you're not going to beat. I don't care. You're not going to beat us, and then it'll allow Jalen Hurts to beat you.
KC also ran it a lot different than I think most teams would because Spags is so aggressive that Spags was literally having.
They did shut down Saquon.
Yeah,
they did. He looked out of gas in the Super Bowl for
and
sure.
That's also in part due to his high touch count, due to his high totals during the whole playoffs. But I think in part of it is just they blitz, and Spags was really good about it, but it left a lot of one-on-one opportunities for AJ, for Devontae. And Devontae being your wide receiver too is still insane. It's insane.
I was thinking about that because like in fantasy drafts right now, Devontae's now at like the 4 or 5 turn. You have like T. Higgins all the way up at like the 2.8, the 2.12, whatever.
I love that.
And I'm like, it's just an ebb and flow of these wide receiver twos. Like whoever's coming off of the good year, the next year they're still just going to be the wide receiver 2. And like if they go back to passing a little bit more, Devontae's going to be up at 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns, and then he'll be because like last year going into drafts, he was the 204, 206, whatever. Like people wanted him really early, and it just goes back and forth. But Devontae's like so talented.
All right, different home field, but we're still going to ask the same question. Gun to your head, 11.5 is the win total. What are you thinking? Over or under?
I'm going to take the over because I just don't really see a ton of firepower in their division to put them down.
Yep, no Carolina on the schedule either. That's always good.
They have a hard schedule. That's not something
schedule
that we haven't talked about, but I still think that they're going to go over. And it's not only like, hey, I think I respect the Commanders a little bit more than some of you here, but they're just that good. So give me the over.
I'm a fade. I don't think they're gonna like suck, but I think it's safer to go. They'll be 11-6 or 10-7.
I'm going with they're going to win 11 games and go 11-6. So I'm going to take the under just nearly, though. And we can head on to our next squadron we have. We have Dallas. Off season, obviously, you gain George Pickens. Obviously, you get Javonte Williams. Not even listed. Miles Sanders. Huge acquisition. DeMarcus Lawrence, Brandon Cooks, and Eric Kendricks leave the squadron. This team desperately needed a wide receiver, and they got one in Pickens. How do we feel about it? 7.5 is a win total. Schottenheimer's the new head coach there, which, I mean, is what it is.
I don't know if there's
45
one
to 1
positive. I've heard anything positive about Schottenheimer. Like, no one supports that
So
hiring.
uninspiring.
Yeah. And
Like,
they
you're
play
the
Carolina
Cowboys.
week 6. That's Otto L.
Stop.
Yeah.
It's big. Just saying.
7.5 wins feels like it's got to be the lowest total going into a year for Dallas in, 10 years?
Probably since they
Even
got
more
Dak.
than that? Yeah. Yeah,
Has
true.
to be.
Even before that, like even like they had a 10-year, probably even more than 10 years. They had a 10-year window where their roster was just absolutely kick-ass. I
Yeah.
mean, Hall of Fame players, All-Pro players, Pro Bowl players, offensive side of the ball, defensive side of the ball. And now you kind of look at that roster now. It's not good. Your stars and Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, they're gonna take you places, but
They're just really fragile.
this
Like,
is
they
one of
have
the worst
top-end blue
rosters that
chips.
we've seen from them in a long time.
100%. And that's why I feel like it can implode. Like, obviously, they could have a fun year, and they could have players like Dak, CD, Pickens, Micah, like, really outperform expectations and carry them. But I don't know. If something unlucky breaks towards one of those players or two of them, God forbid, like, it's going to be a tragic season. So Dallas feels like the least secure to me in this division.
Isn't
right
there
now.
talks that Dak's not even fully 100%?
feel like- Yeah, like so Dak's recovery from his injury, apparently he's not really going to be super mobile until 12 to 18 months after like the
that's
recovery
insane.
from the surgery. Yeah.
Like 12 to 18 months is a long time.
Yeah. And I think you've kind of seen that a little bit with him. Like when he first came in the league, I thought he was a little more springy and I thought he used his legs a lot more.
I mean, at Mississippi State, he was running everywhere.
Yeah, like he was one of those guys where he's like not an elite mobile guy, obviously, but he was like the next tier. But
Yeah.
I don't feel like we've really seen that from him over the last couple of years, and it's kind of affected their ground game a bit.
What do you think about Javonte obviously coming in, supposed to be RB1, projected by the numbers as the RB1? Do you think he holds that role for the whole year?
I don't know.
Jaden Blue. I
It's
mean,
going to be a
man.
committee.
I'll take some shots on Javonte like later in drafts if he's going, RB like 38, 40,
Yeah.
and you're just kind of throwing him on the bench and see what happens for the first couple of weeks, whatnot. But like to be excited about a Javonte Miles Sanders
Unless.
backfield, you've got
Could be
you've got
huge.
real issues in your life.
if you go back like 3 years, that would be the most electric backfield you could have.
Yeah, that's actually
Oh, my God.
that's the level of dopamine reset that I wish I had. That
Yeah.
Javonte Williams could get me excited.
Yeah, definitely. All right, but the Dak yards, 3,800, even with him not being mobile, you think with the attempts he gets there, kind of has to. There's no run game. Now they bring in Pickens to even have more help, more vertical help. I think CD's going to catch a lot of balls underneath, be a PPR god.
What's picking his line at?
899.5. So 900 yards, 4.5 touchdowns. I feel like the touchdowns feels juicy for him, probably being the biggest end zone threat they got.
Yeah, I'm just like excited to see if Dak can stay healthy and he can really throw the ball 600 times. I mean, the passing offense could actually be super
Yeah.
fun.
Like, I think could have 5,000 yards in his bag.
Yeah, I want Pickens.
Really?
I'm not going to go that bullish and predict that, but him sitting at 3,800, knowing he has 5,000 in his bag,
Yeah.
I feel pretty
Three
good about
times
it.
more than Saquon. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Nuts.
Yeah, Pickens is like such a fun receiver, and I don't know. It feels like we've talked about him for so long. Like the NFL landscape is just like so on and off with Pickens. But he's still like 24 years old.
he's
He
young.
is so young, 24, 25, and could be in his prime here. So it could be
Just
a really cool duo.
NFL young boy. But we do have a really tough schedule. When you look at weeks 12, 13, 14, 15, all the way to week 16, those 4 weeks are,
I mean, those are 6 playoff teams. From
yeah,
last year in a
that
row.
is nuts. That would be like my main concern of just like, can they do it against the top tier
That is an
teams?
insane stretch at the end.
No, that's nuts. And if Detroit's defense is improved from last year, like they could be better than we expect. Yeah, no, that's scary for sure.
What do you think happens in week 1, Justin? Dallas at Philly.
I think
That's kicks off, right?
I think they, because you kind of know a Schottenheimer offense, but do you know a Schottenheimer offense
yeah,
now that
Thursday
he's,
night, I
now that
think.
he's head coach? I think it's a high scoring game, and I think Philly winds up winning it. But I just don't think that Dallas roster is very good. Their O line is the weakest that it's been in quite a while. They're still really young. They've had people that have retired and have left. They're just going to be ultra reliant on Dak, CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons to take them wherever they're going to go this year. And I think it's going to be at the lowest point that they've been over like the last 5 to 10 years.
Big week 2.
Big week 2. It's an L. It's an L for my Giants. But
You think so?
Yeah, they just don't. They just can't beat Dak.
Have you done a schedule prediction game by game for the Giants yet?
Not yet.
We'll come down. We'll do that. We'll do that here for sure.
I'm
Put that
taking
up.
the under on Dallas.
Yeah, I think I would also go under. Both of you.
7 wins is
Week
not a
6
lot.
is like, auto L. Like that.
I'm going under.
Under.
Somebody's got to be under, and I think I may go over for the rest of them. Somebody's got to be under.
I think I'm the opposite. I think I'm going to take over on Dallas and go under the rest.
Interesting move there. We do have Washington for our next team. Debo, obviously the headliner, looking extra fat and juicy for this season coming up. Laramie Tunsil, big addition, but he's 30 and aging. And then Kinlaw as a D tackle to replace Jonathan Allen, who just left and went to the Vikings. Jeremy Chin obviously made his departure, and Dante Fowler also left the squad. This Washington team, obviously led by Jaden Daniels. B-Rob's back for another year. Austin Eckler is back for another year, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
Hell yeah.
Terry McLaurin and Debo make their headlines at receiver. Terry's lines under 1,000, or at 1,000, excuse me, with a 9.5 win total and 18-1 odds, which feels bullish to me with that schedule at the end of the season. Looking tough. Definitely looking tough, but again, they proved us all wrong last year. Their win total going into last year was about like 5.5, if I'm not mistaken. So way overperformed there.
I really like Terry's line.
$9.99.
Just 1,000?
Yeah.
Just for Terry?
Just do it.
Like, he's done it since, I think, 5 straight seasons since 2020 with dog water at quarterback. Now year 2, Jaden.
I feel like people are just so overthinking Terry this year.
Yeah,
It was
maybe
like,
it's because he's never had like a 13, 14. It's just always like a good 11 piece. But
I think with the Vegas lines in particular, you kind of have to look at it like, can this player hit it in 15? You almost have to factor in like a game and a half missed or whatever, which I think Terry's talented enough to do it. But even from like the fantasy conversation around Terry is that he's like pretty much a full fade in the 3rd round. And I'm like, Terry, he had 13 touchdowns on like 115 targets, which is like, I get it, unsustainable. That was a regular season. And then the playoffs, they had 3 games. Game 1, it was like 10 targets, touchdown. Game 2, 8 targets, a touchdown. Game 3, 7 targets, a touchdown. I'm like, that feels like what we're probably going to get from Terry McLaurin as being the best receiver on this team. And you have Jaden coming into year 2. It's like,
you think it's just like Debo fear?
Dude, I think people are just like obsessed with the word regression in fantasy, and they see 13 touchdowns and they go, oh, he's going to jump back down to like 7. He's going to be a bad 3rd round pick. And I'm like, but Terry's good enough to make up for it elsewhere. And like, if Jaden can connect on a bunch of deep balls, which is what he was so good at LSU, that's where Terry really thrives. So Debo, I'm not concerned about Debo. It doesn't seem like Vegas is either. I think what will happen is like people are excited because like Cliff's screen game is, something that is good, and Debo on paper fits that. But I think they're going to force that for like the first 6-7 weeks and then be like, it's not really working that well. It's not that efficient because Debo doesn't really have that explosiveness anymore, and then maybe have to push off of it. But I don't know. I'm like warm on the offense. I think they'll be good, but I'm not like overly excited about anything in particular, I don't think.
Yeah, I think I would lean. My favorite play is the under on the Jane Daniels rushing yards, and I've talked about this in the past, but I think year 2 seeing a player is a lot different than year 1. Year 1, especially as a mobile quarterback, you come in, you don't know what to really expect. You don't know how much he's going to run. You don't know how much he's going to be involved in the offense. I think year 2, running the ball is going to be a lot different. I think defenses are going to be more set up for it. I think there's going to be a lot more QB spies. There's going to be a lot more attention to it. Plus, he got rocked a lot of times this year, and I'm worried
coming out of school
that he's a fragile guy. He's not sliding as much, and I think that rushing line at 725 is very, very high. For him to come out. I think they're going to try to get more of the screen game, try to get the quick passes off, and not use his legs as much. So I think 725, the under there feels really good. I would like the over on the touchdown. So I think he's going to be able to get a few just short scrambles in, short power reads in for the most part. But 725 rushing yards is just insanely high for a year 2 guy in a Cliff Kingsbury offense, which is known to regress in year 2.
I feel like anytime you have a super mobile quarterback, like if the RB1 is in a confirmed position of like they're the guy,
I think he's underrated at least in fantasy drafts right now. It's just like Washington.
Even last year, he had a nice streak at one
when
point.
He was healthy. Yeah, that kind of has been his problem. He's almost like a James Conner light where it's like he's pretty good when he's on the field and he'll score touchdowns because he's a product of the offense. But I'm cool with that as like RB30, RB32 because Washington was top 5 in scoring last year.
That's how low he's going?
He's pretty far down there, yeah. People don't want him because he doesn't really catch passes too much. So I get it, and he's kind of like burn people, I guess, when they don't get to play him. But he could just being a product of the offense, just being in this position, he could just like back his way into 8 rushing touchdowns or something this year.
I feel like they don't have an easy defensive schedule either. Like they're going against obviously the Chargers are going to be a good rushing defense. Chicago with their upgrade should be a good rushing defense. Obviously the Chiefs, Seattle was the top 10 defense by the end of the year. Detroit was the number 2 defensive rushing defense last year. They go to Denver, who's number 1. The Birds, like Minnesota was even good. Like there's tough teams to run the ball on this schedule. Like they don't have an easy one, obviously finishing in second. So that could be another thing that obviously are baked in and what people are looking at. But
I wish they added another weapon to the offense in one. I don't know like who else I would want, whether it was like a really explosive running back or a secondary guy that wasn't Deebo Samuel. And maybe my fade on Deebo's gone too far to the point that like
the clips are just so bad.
Yeah,
I can't.
It makes me look stupid at this point, but like I don't know. Give me another like real possession receiver that can actually go out there and like run routes and explode down the field and
like if they would have got one of the like Jaden Higgins.
I was going to say Jaden Higgins.
Someone like that, where it's just like a go get it guy and you can rely on him a little bit more than Deebo. Like I feel like Deebo and Terry, I don't know if they complement each other as well as someone.
They're like literally polar opposites.
No, I don't think they complement each other, but I think you guys said it perfectly. We're the first 6 weeks of the season. That's when you're going to see the 4 screens, and I mean, I think you're even going to see like anywhere between 40 to 45 attempts out of the backfield for Deebo Samuel too. He's going to get the ball. Even despite him not doing that as much on the 49ers, he still does it more than you would think than when he did a couple years ago. So
I do wonder if they, with the Juwan Jennings news that kind of came out today that he might be looking for a new contract, like he feels someone that would complement this offense really well. He's like a perfect middle between Terry and Deebo. And I mean, Washington's been in basically every wide receiver conversation about a guy possibly moving. Yeah. I mean, whether it was Ayuk or Pickens or whatever, it's like, oh, we're going to get this guy. They never do, but like, maybe. How much you have to give up to get Juwan Jennings at this point?
I mean, it's Juwan Jennings. 3 touchdowns.
He's one of my goats.
200
one
yards.
Of my goats.
Yeah,
I just don't know if the NFL
That's
sees
crazy.
That way.
Shout out Joe. Gundy ahead, 9.5.
I'm going to go under.
Under. Nicholas.
Yeah, I'm going to take the under as well.
Under.
9 wins.
Justin.
Going over. I love Jaden Daniels. I think he's that good.
Interesting. You in our QB talks in the
top
clip.
5.
He's close, man. I
So
know
he got rated top 5. You see that list that came out from the NFL executives today?
Like
the
ESPN.
GMs voted?
Yeah.
Really? I wonder where CJ would have been last year. That's what
Probably
we keep
same
talking
spot,
about.
yeah.
Like
Same exact
we
spot.
had that same exact conversation of like.
But this
CJ,
is different. This is different though,
Is it?
because with CJ and that Texans offense, they were running the ball in spite of not being good at it. Whereas Washington, like they have like one of the best run games in the NFL, and they also have one of the best run designers in the NFL in Cliff Kingsbury. Like a lot of people think that, this boy kid wonder, the young guy, he's going to come in and he has the good passing stuff. No, Cliff Kingsbury's screen game and his run game stuff is more like better when it comes to like just schematic stuff than the passing stuff. So they're going to run the ball really well, and Jaden Daniels, they're at least going to have that as an offense. And then if he can continue to throw the ball down the field more, like he kind of unlocked in that Week 4 game against the Bengals, it kind of took him a whole month to really start doing it. I think the sky's the limit for this offense and Jaden Daniels. I think he's that good.
are you worried at all about the second-year Cliff Kingsbury hit? Like the same thing we were talking about Kyler in the same light.
I think Jaden Daniels can erase that because of
Interesting.
how good he is.
All right.
So.
We'll come back to this take. We'll come back to it. We'll be here next year. Don't worry. Abdul Carter is going to be the biggest headliner for your New York Giants. Obviously, the D-line is looking insane with a pretty light schedule. 5.5 is a win total.
A light schedule.
I mean,
They have a very tough schedule.
It's the toughest schedule in the league, and
you're
they
literally
finished in
fine.
last place.
But you have Russell Wilson. That's the difference here that they don't want to talk about. You have Russell Wilson now. You have Malik Neighbors, who you argue could be the wide receiver one this season. I don't think you're far off. Tyrone Tracy's making his way back with Cam Scatabo as another back to be the power back there.
Is that going to be a split backfield?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be split. I think it's going to be situational. Yeah.
How do you see the backfield starting, like opening day?
Skydabu's got to earn it. I think in camp, first, we haven't even
He
seen
feels
him
like
so
a
far
camp
this spring.
hero, though. Like, he'll get a ton of praise at camp just because how he plays.
Grit and grind guy.
Yeah, I mean,
just does the game the right way.
Is he gonna?
Last to
How much
leave.
is he gonna stand out in camp when he's not fast? And I think he's arguably like he's a slow player. So you can't, like, yards after contact and broken tackles and stuff like that. That stuff doesn't really stand out during camp because nobody's tackling. So that's why I think Tyron Tracy's knowledge of the system and Tyron Tracy just, those little one cuts, that's the type of stuff that I think could stand out in the summer a little bit more. But Scadabu, just watch him in college and you're like, hey, all the scouts and all the people that follow college, it's like they're really excited about this guy. I am slightly worried about the lack of athleticism, and is he college strong, and is he just like, hey, Arizona State gave him a bunch of fucking volume, and is he emergent of that?
That's
a little, or he could just be tough as a motherfucker, and he's just going to run people over.
Yep.
There's two sides of it. And I think one side of it is this guy's awesome, and the other side of it is, man, this guy just doesn't have it. So at least to start, I'm feeling really good about Tyron Tracy Jr. I'm feeling good about the volume that he's going to get, and I think Scadabu is going to have to earn it. I don't think they're just going to give it to him flat out.
Yeah, I agree. I think the volume thing is a really interesting point there, and I've brought that up a lot of times when looking at him in general. Like, when you look at his game versus, like, Texas and, like, how he popped off in that fourth quarter, it took him 24 carries to break 3 yards out of attempt.
Like
You're not
me
gonna
in
get that.
NCAA, though.
Yeah,
like, you got sometimes the D-line is just over. Like, legit, though, a Texas D-line versus what they're doing
I
on
100% agree, but, like, he's not going to get those opportunities at the next level to get 24 carries. That's the biggest thing. I think he'll have, and we have to remember, like, Tyron was a wide receiver at one point. Like, he's a receiving back as well.
Yeah.
He's a guy that can catch the ball. I get Cam was good at catching the ball, but you're not going to want to give him the screens. He's not fast enough at the next level. So I think Tyron's going to have a pretty big role in this offense. I think 725 is his line for a reason, because he's going to be the clear lead back outside of the 3rd and 1s, the 3rd and 2s, where you need that bruiser type.
I'm going
Cam.
way over on that.
Yeah,
Yeah, 725. That's why I brought it up. It's like, it feels low for a dude that just beat that. Now he's entering year 2.
Yeah, he was on pace.
The offense should be better.
He's on pace for well over 1,000 last year, so.
Yeah, but
Mock, maybe?
I don't know. Don't put me in a corner. But yeah, I would say yeah, because I think Tracy's that good, and I also don't think Scadabu is, like, if Scadabu gets 10 attempts per game and, 4.5 yards per attempt is awesome. Scadabu's not even touching anywhere near that 725, and I think Tracy's going to be the number one guy who could get, like, 12, 13, 14 attempts per game. So,
all right.
I want to see them. I guess one of the bigger questions I had this offseason was, like, what playmakers do they add to the offense around Malik Neighbors, and they didn't. But I will, like, maybe they're creative enough with, like, Tracy, obviously former wide receiver in college. Scadabu, he did have a lot of volume, but he was also very efficient on the volume he had, maybe outside of the Texas game. Like, his missed tackles forced kind of metrics, and even his yards per out run, like, one of the better backs in college football, statistically speaking, all around. I do wonder if they really, like, push towards a line of scrimmage check down game from that duo of running backs, because they certainly didn't try to do it downfield outside of Malik Neighbors, or aren't trying to do it.
It's also just Russ's game to just check it down.
Yep.
Check downs and, like, moon balls.
Yeah, I was
to
going to say,
Neighbors
moon
could be-
balls are definitely part of that game as well. But again, did sign Darius Slayton back, so I mean, it's pretty big.
don't sleep on Darius Slayton, man.
Listen, we're not
Nice
sleeping around
700.
here.
Don't sleep on his 45 catches,
His stat line
750
is
yards.
quite literally the same.
It's
single
every year.
Yeah.
Every year.
Go.
2.8 receptions per game, 45 yards per game. That's Darius Slayton.
Okay, what about what's your thoughts on Wan'Dale Robinson? Guy had 140 targets last year. He's, like, obviously the definition of just, like, a cone out there. He gets the ball, falls down immediately.
He had 140 targets.
140, yeah.
93 catches. Also, by the way, like 7 point something yards per reception.
Yeah, his ADOT was like 5.2 or something like that.
Why are you having a 60 something % catch rate when your yards per reception is 7?
That's bars.
J-Mo
could never.
This whole Giants offense, especially when you look at the receivers, the running backs, I think are a little bit easier to predict because it's just about numbers game of how many carries is one guy going to get, and then you can just switch around that. But how much of this Giants offense was held back by quarterback play is the question that the Giants as an organization are going to answer this year, because Daniel Jones was made to be enemy number 1 2024, the reason why the Giants were bad is because Daniel Jones is bad, and we regret
Are we
giving
sure
that
that's going to be
contract.
answered though?
That it has to be answered because we are now
many
in
quarterbacks
year
in there.
4 of Brian Dable and Joe Shane, and back-to-back years where we have a top 6 draft pick. Last year they had the 3rd overall pick. They would have had the 1st overall pick if they lose to the Indianapolis Colts, and they would have had Cam Ward, which would have been nice. But that's the main thing that they have to. It's going to get answered this year,
All right,
and that is going to be the thing that Brian Dable is either fired on or he's retained
Because Russell Wilson breaks out.
So,
Jackson Dart.
so answer
Please.
the. Well, let's play a little game here.
Yeah.
Over under Jameis Winston 2.5 starts.
No, under.
Okay. Over under
Really?
Jackson Dart 3.5 starts.
Over. I think he gets the final 4 games of the year.
Okay. So if I put the over under at 5.5 for Jackson Dart, you take the under.
Yeah, yeah, and that's me being optimistic. Like I could see them being 2-8.
Yeah.
And then I'm really like, damn. All right, now we're gonna see Jackson Dart now, and then Jackson Dart, a quarterback that I don't necessarily think is ready for the pro game, is going to be put in a bad 2-8 situation. I mean, if the Giants are 6-7, 5-8 after their first 13 games because they have that Week 14 bye, if they're somewhere around there and then they choose to go to Jackson Dart, I am much more happy and enthusiastic about that situation and Jackson Dart's future instead of him being thrust into a situation where he somehow needs to save Brian Dable's job.
All right, well, let's talk that out right now. Let's go through the schedule. We're going to go game by game, and you're going to leave your final prediction. If you want to write down wins and losses over there, Nick, that'd be awesome just to keep track for the final record. Yeah, because I don't have right here. All right, we're going to start with Washington. What do you think? Week 1 at Washington. I think it's a 1 o'clock game, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Where are you feeling for
that's important.
big? I mean, bright lights are bright lights.
It's very important. It means I don't need to be up till 3 a.m. analyzing that game. I'm going to give it a win.
Fire. I'm in. I'm in. I am in.
Hey, we're Washington haters. You guys were Washington haters over here.
I'm just writing the score down.
Yeah, just keep
Don't
it
mind
track.
me.
Washington, week 1. Russ obviously gets the start there. Malik Neighbors starts his.
There's no film on Russell Wilson.
Okay. Dallas.
We pulling that back again.
Dallas in week 2. What are you thinking?
Loss.
Lost to Dallas. Beats. Okay. Interesting. Kansas City going back to New York in Kansas City game.
I think we could beat them, but loss.
Bars.
I already had
bars.
I had that written down, so if we fucking moved, I wasn't allowing it.
All right, back in New York again for the Chargers. Back-to-back
Loss.
home games. Okay. At the Saints.
Win.
Tyler Show.
Fire.
Win. The only game on the Giants schedule that they're favored in.
All right, Birds in New York, week 6.
Loss.
You going to that game?
Yes, I will be at that game. It's a Thursday night game.
Yep. All right. Now we go to the old man and Sean Payton at Denver.
Russ revenge game.
Russ revenge game.
And
What
for
are we
that,
thinking?
And for that reason, it's a win.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes,
At
it
Philly.
is.
At Philly.
Loss.
Yeah, that's a gimme. San Francisco, this is a team that could go both ways this year. Could
Loss.
be really good. Okay.
Loss. We never do well against Shanahan.
Interesting. Chicago, young team, a new head coach.
In Chi-Town.
Let's give him the win.
Okay. Green
We don't
Bay.
need to give. They'll earn.
Yeah, they'll earn it. Grind it out with Tyrone Tracy on the ground.
We don't need you to be generous here.
Home against Green Bay.
Home against Green Bay.
We have a good track record against Green Bay. Tommy DeVito beat Jordan Love once.
Did.
Yeah.
Not a very high bar.
Win.
Win. Okay. Now you go into Detroit.
We've got a playoff team on our hands.
We go into,
Wait, what are we at right now?
See, no, I don't want to show you because I don't want you to be skewed. Like, you already have a record in your mind. I know that, but I want you to
We're
give your
going
honest opinion game by
into
game.
Detroit.
I think I've just messed
Week
up.
12. What are we thinking
Loss.
for Detroit?
Loss.
Loss in Detroit. All right. New England at New England. Starting to get cold now. Week 13.
Win.
Okay. Bye week. Don't have to worry about. Might lose that one still. But we have Washington in week 15.
Loss.
Now we lose to Washington in New York. We beat them at Washington, if you remember, in week 1. And then we go to Minnesota in New York.
Loss.
16.
Either Jackson Dart or Russell Wilson shit their pants at Brian
I
Flores.
can't believe you don't think Jabuzzi getting one
Really?
start.
No, because there's going to be pressure for Jackson Dart to go in. So
Why did they sign Jameson? Oh, let's keep
if
going.
Russell Wilson gets hurt within the first 4 weeks of the season, then you'll have Jameis Winston. But I don't think that's going to happen.
He would be Malik Neighbors to the moon with Jameis. Yeah. That's facts. All right. Vegas at Vegas.
I would love to know how many wins I have.
Vegas.
I'm happy for you.
Vegas at Vegas.
He's somewhat easy to keep track of in your head.
Just do you think they're going to win Vegas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, at Vegas, and then finally Dallas Week 18
Loss.
finished with a loss.
We didn't do this the first time we recorded this.
No,
we
but
didn't.
we decided to add things. Nick,
So
what is
after
your final
tallying it
record
up-
prediction? Over-unders at 5.5. Super
Yeah.
Bowl odds are 250 to 1.
After tallying it up, Justin has the 2025 New York Football Giants at 13-3. No,
First one
they
before
are.
the
Yeah, I know.
17
I missed a game. 7-10.
7 and 10.
Wow.
Everybody saves their
Wait.
jobs if we go 7
7
10.
and
which is
10.
great.
You think Dable keeps his job?
I would like him to because I think the head coach.
Do you
I think
think
Dable's done a better job than Shane.
Do you think Jackson Dart's performance at the end of the year will dictate whether or not Dable keeps his job?
If Jackson Dart goes in and the team is 2-8, yes. If Jackson Dart goes in and we're talking 5-8, 6-7, or somewhere around that line, and hey, we're just going to put the kid in to look for a spark, and Russ is signed for a 1-year deal, so he's not a long-term answer. Then no. If they're around 500 and not eliminated from playoff contention when you talk about like November, then Jackson Dart's performance will not be like Brian Dable won't be riding that to save his job or not. But if they're dog shit and the season's over by the time November rolls around, then Brian Dable's job is on the line with Jackson Dart's play.
All right, and we can wrap it up there. I feel like that's a very good spot to
Malik
end it.
Neighbors to the moon,
I was about to say we need to give him some. He's got to pop off on Malik.
Okay.
That was
yeah, no, that's fair enough. That's very fair
Malik
enough. Give me
Neighbors.
your Malik Neighbors spiel.
I mean, I think he's going to get 1,500 yards this year if
And
things go
let me
right.
pull up the odds for that, just for the fun of it.
Man's had
Let me pull up the
170
odds.
targets last
Yeah,
year.
and
in
the
15
crazy thing
games.
The
is-
fact that him and Wandale had
Right?
similar targets.
Well, the Giants are just one of those teams that were forced into throwing the
Yeah.
ball a
Yeah.
million times.
The crazy thing is I don't think Neighbors could actually end the year with less catches, but I think he's going to end up with a shit ton more yards because 11 yards per reception for Malik Neighbors is sickening. Like we should be around 13 to 14. We had 2 plays of 40-plus yards last year. The first one didn't come until December 29th, where Drew Lock threw him a screen against the Indianapolis Colts, which then fired their defense coordinator a day later because it's like, why are we playing off? Why are we letting Malik Neighbors and everybody get yak? And Darius Slayton had like a big play in that game too. So 2 plays of 40-plus yards this year.
Put that in perspective, though. You said 1,300 yards. Jamar Chase is sitting at 1,300 yards as the number 1 wide receiver in yards total for the season.
He had 1,200 in 14 games last year. He missed a couple games with a concussion there.
If you want to vote him the most receiving yards, you can get that at 1,200. Plus 1,200, that feels pretty good. 12 to 1 odds. If you want to vote him,
But this year it's more quality instead of quantity. Last year was all about quantity. We're going to give you these hitch routes on the sideline.
You think it's more quality because he's going to run a more diverse route tree, or because the quarterback just the targets are going to be more accurate?
I think both. I think the quarterback play is going to allow him to run a more diverse route tree, and then we're also going to see just better quality targets where, I mean, we saw none of the yak. None of it. The juice that we saw.
Good at LSU.
The juice that we saw at LSU, where Jaden Daniels would just, put that ball deep down the field, and then he's out running everybody there. And then also he's out running and he's bigger and stronger than everybody in the short and intermediate part of the field. And then he could take that 10-yard play into a 30-yard play, 40-yard play, whatever. We didn't see any of that last year. And he was already this good. So with better quarterback play, and I really don't think this is me just being a Giants fan saying this, because I've been bullied for many years trying to cover this team, trying to find any sort of optimism. This guy's it, and I think he's going to demolish that.
How do you
11-49.
feel? Personal question. I know Odell is not aged well for the New York Giants.
Yeah.
What are your feelings about when Odell came in versus Malik Neighbors coming in right now? Not even like when they first came in, but I mean like after year one,
Yeah.
like you knew you had something.
Odell
there.
had the magic.
Yeah.
Where like there was dynamic plays, and the team also gave Odell the opportunity. Like the defense was better in 2016, which allowed Odell to make these game-changing plays. Eli as a quarterback, even though was shot in the latter years,
2015 best fantasy season.
2015
not
was
2011.
still doing really good stuff, and even 2016 just putting a ball out in front of Odell so he can take a ball to the house. So that's why I'm so excited about Neighbors, is because the stats between Beckham and Neighbors, they're comparable, like to start their careers. But there's nowhere near the same juice and excitement and dynamic stuff. Like Neighbors didn't have that from his rookie year from Odell, but still, like numbers-wise, they're similar. So, and we know that Neighbors has that juice in him from what we saw at LSU. So.
Also, I think some of that is because we're like kind of numb to rookies being so good. Whereas like Odell, that class itself was like really good because you had the Evans, you had a couple guys go for 1,000. But Odell, that almost feels like the first year, not ever obviously, but like to put up those types of numbers as a rookie was like, holy shit, we got like the best receiver in football right now. Whereas like Malik does that last year, so did 4 other dudes, you know?
Yeah.
Now, what do you think the odds are for Malik Neighbors to get 1,500 yards? Really this isn't minus 110, to put it in perspective.
1150 is minus 110.
Minus 110. What do you think it is to get 1,500?
So bad at odds.
Yeah, I'm very bad at odds.
It's just for fun.
I'm not doing any math over here.
Just for fun. What do you think? What do you think it'd be?
Plus 400.
Yeah.
I was gonna say 3.
That would have been I said plus 350. But
plus
I would say
460. So honestly, not bad value for 1,500. And to lead, it's again to lead all receivers, it's plus 1,000.
I think he would have been third in the NFL in receiving yards last year if he played on like a 17-game pace. So.
There's a lot of receivers that I actually feel like could kind of claim that title this year, though, which is why legit BTJ, Nico, Malik Neighbors, like Puka, Jamar, like any of them could really go off and do it. It's a really good like league of receivers we got right now.
And if you want to talk more about our fantasy stats and statistics, make sure to head over to BetMGM, is where we're going to be taking all of these plays, as well as you can get our draft guide. When you use code DRAFT, you'll get our draft guide that comes out in August. You'll get the pre-order for it, as well as you'll get a $10 bet to bonus bet with. And if you lose that, you'll get up to $1,500 back as well. So we'll have that on the table for you. Use code DRAFT, and the link will be in the description down below. J-Mo.
Over 5.5. I want to
5.5. Over 5.5. We've 7 to 10. We know Justin's prediction.
Going over.
Nick.
Give me 6. Give me 6 wins.
Yeah.
Boys.
There we
we'll
go.
all go over on the Giants. It's because Russ is there and he is back, baby. Shout out Malik Neighbors. Shout out Tyron Tracy. Shout out you guys. Make sure to leave a like. Make sure to subscribe. All that sort of fun shit down below. And we'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.